Browns continue preparations for the Bears, and their starting quarterback is officially on the 53-man roster. Amari Cooper, Joe Flacco signed off the practice squad to the 53-man roster. What really should have just been a procedural move kind of became a big deal this week when some national folks sort of made it a big deal. He was on the practice squad. Nothing to worry about now at this point. Joe Flacco is officially a Cleveland Brown for the remainder of the season.
Right. I mean, there really never was anything to worry about. These are just procedural moves that you do to kind of manage your roster. But you do actually have to agree on a contract with the player to bring them up and sign them to the active roster. So they agreed on a deal that has about $4 million in incentives in it. So if he wins through the rest of the regular season and wins the Super Bowl, he can get an extra $2 million just for doing that. He can bag up to $4 million extra just by winning. And you know that's what he's going to try to do.
Well, that's not a bad deal, Ashley, for a guy who has played pretty well in the playoffs throughout his career, who is trying to get this team to the playoffs. So I certainly would take a contract like that.
Yeah, why not? And it sounds like Joe, unsurprisingly, from just the time we've been around him, the way he's been playing, doesn't really care. I know he made the comment today that he hasn't really looked at his bank account. He doesn't even know how much money he's made so far by being here. He's just enjoying it so much, and I know he's grateful for that opportunity from reading Mary Kay's great story where she talked to Gary Kubiak, of course, him and Joe go way back. So, yeah, I'm not really surprised that this is what happened. It just seems like bookkeeping procedural more than anything.
And just to be clear, I know we had some of our subtexters who were wondering about this. I know some people have wondered about this. When we say one-year contract, it's the rest of this season. He's not signed through like December of next year. So it's just the remainder of this season. Now let's talk about one of his pass catchers, Amari Cooper, Mary Kay, obviously dealing with ribs, just came out of the concussion protocol to play in this last game. So Amari is fighting through some things right now.
He is, just like everybody else, except for Joe, really. So, yes, Amari has the rib injury, and then he was coming off of a concussion. He said he's never missed a game when he's gotten a concussion. That's pretty remarkable. He gets back to baseline very quickly. But I'm sure Joe is so excited to have him back, and, he's going to be going up a pretty tough Bears defense. It's probably better than you would think for a defense that is on a 5-8 football team. But these guys are aggressive. They're going to be going after the ball. They've got good cornerbacks, and it'll be a big game for Amari.
And Ashley, look, just having Amari out there, just his presence, he's one of those receivers. He makes the whole offense better by just being on the field.
Yeah, and I asked Alex Van Pelt about this today, too, when we got the coordinators, because it just seems like there's something more there that they can get out of that connection between Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper, because they still haven't had a ton of reps together. I think we all know Amari's been playing banged up, not even just the concussion, but the ribs that he injured in Denver. I think he has not necessarily been himself over these last handful of weeks, and he's had to miss some practice time. So I think there's more there. They seem excited about it. And again, Amari is such a precise route runner. It's understandable why.
Now, a couple key defenders we're keeping an eye on. One is Juan Thornhill. He's still dealing with that calf injury. But the other one we want to talk about is Ogbo Okoronkwo. He has that pec injury, Mary Kay. And, the thinking is he is likely out for the season, but a move hasn't been made yet. So what's going on with Ogbo?
They're holding out some hope that maybe, just maybe, he can try to play through it. That's what he wants to do. He's played through injuries before. I talked to him once about playing through a pretty bad shoulder injury at one point, and, he just gutted it out. He's just one of those guys that wants to try to do that. So they're holding out some hope that he might not have to undergo season-ending surgery. So that's basically where things are right now in limbo.
And, of course, if he does play, Ashley, it's going to be a lot like it was last game when Jim Schwartz said he was watching the film and Ogbo was out there basically playing with one arm.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I mean, that was one of the first things Jim Schwartz talked about today was the effort that Ogbo gave to try to finish out that game. And really, again, we've talked about this. I don't think from seeing him around after the game or in the locker room on Wednesday that you would have expected that he was dealing with an injury of that magnitude, because his demeanor doesn't really change, and he was just happy after the win and all of that. But I do think it's interesting today, Jim Schwartz talked about the snap counts for those guys, and we know they've been spread out. Even Miles, he's played the most snap counts among those linemen, but still fewer than he has in past years. And Jim Schwartz said a part of that is because to account for a situation like this, if they were to find themselves in it, that they can maybe load some of those guys up further on the depth chart than they have been playing so far.
Okay, we'll have full coverage of everything that happened here in Berea today. You can find it all at cleveland.com/Browns.